In this video, I'm going to show you a basic blowout with a round brush and what this button does. Once your shampoo service is completed, you're going to take your client back to the chair and get off anything that's wet. So the wet towels, all that, get rid of them. And you're going to replace it with a Sanic or another towel. So the Sanic is what I'm going to use, and I'm just going to place that on her neck and an all-purpose cape. Again, making sure that no part of the cape touches her skin. A good way to make sure that it doesn't touch the skin is once you get it on, take the Sanic and actually fold it down over the cape. Looks nice and neat, and it does help to keep it in place so that the cape doesn't move around and end up touching the skin. So we're going to take off the towel. We're going to start with detangling. So detangling, we're going to section it, and you always want to start kind of from the ends going up toward the scalp. She doesn't have too many tangles. When you're detangling, always use a wide tooth comb or a wet brush. So wet brushes are really great too. They're designed for this thing specifically, and you can also use them when you're doing the preliminary part of your blow dry. So she's all detangled. Looks good. Now we start with product. Product should not be overlooked. Product is a liquid tool. If you don't put product in the hair, you're not going to get the results that you want. So I have a few different products that I'm going to put in Eva today. So this leave-in treatment, this is by Kevin Murphy. It's called Staying Alive. It's a leave-in, and it's just going to continue to give her some moisture and help to repair those dry ends as the day goes on. I'm not sponsored by any of these products. I just like to use them. There's two parts to this blow dry. The first step is the rough dry. The rough dry enables us to get the hair 80% dry before we get into anything too technical. So we'll use a vent brush, we can use our fingers. We just want to get most of the moisture out of the hair. Once we do that, then we're going to switch to a round brush and really start to get the detail work into it. So I'm going to choose my vent brush today. A vent brush is great on fine hair. A vent brush is great to get your 80% rough dry because it has little holes in it. And the little holes that are in your brush are going to let the air flow through, and it gets things done a whole lot faster. When you are doing your rough dry, you want to try to lift the hair from the scalp. You want to move the hair so that the air flows through the hair and not just on top of the hair. And always make sure, even in your rough dry, that the airflow is still going in the direction of the cuticle. So your cuticle runs from root to tip, so you shouldn't be blow drying it like this because that's going to rough up the cuticle and make it look really fuzzy. You want to make sure that your blower is coming down or off to the side on a diagonal. About 80% dry now. So now I'm going to actually start my shaping with my round brush. I am going to section her just a little bit to keep myself organized. So I'm going to do a radial section, apex to the tops of the ear. And I'm going to section at the occipital bone, so I have a nice little chunk of hair there to work with. I sectioned her off right around the occipital bone area so that I isolate the entire nape section. You want a nice big section here. If the hair is super dense and the client has a ton of hair, you're probably going to want to cut that in half. But in Eva's case, this works really well. There are many different types of round brushes on the market. The one I'm going to use today is this one. It has a metal base. The metal base on a round brush basically works kind of like a curling iron. So it heats up. Metal with hot air is going to get hot. So it's going to create really nice shape in the hair as this heats up. It's a great tool to use. You can also get them with natural bristles. It just depends on the hair that you're working with and your personal preference. So with the round brush technique, I'm going to be coming in and I'm going to use my blower to help me guide it. So once I blow, I'm going to tuck this back under as I go. So I'll show you, you get to see this over and over again. And I'm going to change directions a couple of times, and that's just going to help me to get every angle of the hair. My blower will always be going in the direction of the cuticle. I will never have my blow dryer up like this unless I'm coming from underneath so that I continue to stay in line with the cuticle. Before I start, take notice, I'm actually going to lift this up a little bit as I go. Here's why. If I put the brush in here and I just pull it down, I can get a little bit of a divot right in here when I go to put my blow dryer in. If I put my brush in and I lift it ever so slightly, it exposes that whole root area and I can get right in there so I don't get any bumps or divots. Once I complete a section and it's nice and hot, then what I want to do is I want to use my cool shot. The heat will actually open up the cuticle, the cool shot will seal it down.
I never knew that's why there was a cold setting on.
Really?
I didn't either.
So
Really?
you need to explain that. Because I had no idea. I just like, oh, I guess it's because you need a break from all the heat.
No.
I did too. I thought it was because, like, oh, it's too hot, it's a cold setting.
No. Oh my gosh. All right, so apparently we need to discuss what a cool shot button is. The cool shot button on your blow dryer, it is not to cool you down, it is to seal your cuticle down. So heat opens the cuticle, cold will seal it. So once you get the hair really nice and hot, remember this is metal, hot air, it's getting really hot. So the cuticle is open. Now you want to close it. So when you finish a section and it's dry, make sure it's 100% dry, then go in with that cool shot and nice and slow, just rotate your brush and bring it down to finish. When I get up into these sections above the ear, I like to give a little bit of volume because the head is round, and by lifting the hair or over directing the hair, it actually just shapes the head a little bit nicer. As you go up the head, make sure that you pump the chair down. You see a little bit of roundness coming through there, and that's all because I over directed the hair instead of bringing it down. When I get to the top of the head, I really over direct. I push the head, and I can actually use the head because it's round like a big round brush. So I do have a round brush in my hand, but if I over direct the hair this way, it's rounding around the head. If I take hair from this side and I push it over this way, it's actually shaping the hair as I go. This is a really great trick, and you can do this with any brush that you have on hand. I'm going to take a horseshoe section at the top, so it comes from the crown at the top of the parietal ridge, and I'm going to over direct this entire section. So I've over directed this part this way, and I'm really just focusing on those roots in mid-shaft, just this area in here, and I'm going to get the rest of it in a moment. Now I'm just going to take this section here, and we're going to do the same technique that we did in the back. Now we're at the top. I've over directed this way, this one this way. This is a really good way to do it if you want to have a center part or really work with the natural part. The next thing I like to do is I like to take this and I like to blow dry it forward. It's not going to hang in her face, but it is going to give her a nice swoop when we release it. So Eva, I'm just going to get you to look towards me. Yeah, just like that. Perfect. Just give her a shake. The hair moves really nicely. And it's not really big, but it does shape the head really nicely. So at this point of the service, after I do a blowout, if I've already done a haircut, this is when I would add any face framing or things around the face. As you know, I do like to cut my bangs and my fringe dry, so now would be the time that I would do that. If you follow these tips, keeping the airflow going down the cuticle, using heat, and then a cool shot to finish, using over direction at the top of the head, you'll get a really nice finish every time. You won't get the fuzz and the frizz, you'll have a really nice rounded shape, and you'll have a really nice little swoop in the front that you can put bangs in later if you want to, or you can just let them fall on its own. If you'd like to check out how I do bangs and fringe, check out this video right here. In the meantime, have a great hair day.